There we go. That's better. Hi, everybody. How's it going? I'm gonna give some folks some time to get their butts in gear and get in here and say hello. Hey, everybody. How's it going? It's been a while since I've done one of these. I meant to get back into it in the new year, and it just hasn't gelled yet. Hello, hello. Welcome. We're going to talk about OGL shite today. Oh, right. I can swear on this stream. We're going to talk about OGL shit today. It's allowed. I'm allowed to do it. Oh, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate that. It's very, very helpful. One of the things that I'm probably going to start out doing actually is I'm going to record live here on stream for all and sundry to see. Is I'm going to record a TikTok. I'm going to record my question and teachable moment for the day. I have one in mind, and it's related to today's discussion. Hello, hello, EB. Shiitake mushrooms. Oh God, that takes me back. I saw that. I saw fucking both Ace Venturas in the theaters when they came out. If that's an indication of my vaunted vaunted age. I'm still getting over COVID, so I apologize if I'm kind of sniffly, but I will try to keep my grossness to a minimum here. I've got my trusty, got my water bottle ready to go. So yeah. Hey, when you pop in the chat, say hi. I like it when people say hi. Sorry, that's a lore thing. I don't know if anybody's ever listened to the podcast lore, but it's a fun podcast. Uh it was the second Austin no, it was the second Ace Ventura when they're um God, that's a problematic movie. I'm just looking back at it and going, dear God in heaven, how is that allowed? It was the 90s. That's how it was allowed. No, it was when he was visiting the indigenous native. I don't know where they were, Africa maybe, but he was visiting the tribe, and their bat god started with a CHI or SHI sound. And so he kept going, and every time they'd say the name, they'd have to take a knee, and so he kept going like Chicago, Kentucky mushrooms, like that sort of thing. Wow, the 90s were fucked up. All right. Hi everybody. How's it going? We're You know what? I think I'm gonna start by recording my TikTok. Here we go. Here we go. And you guys can answer for me. You guys can answer in the chat as this is happening. I'm gonna pop this out. Do, 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 do. Apparently I look handsome. I'll take it. I'm gonna open up. Oh shit on a stick, that's loud. One of my mutuals sent me a video and I was watching it when I went live. All right, so here's the secret to the question and teachable moments. You got to start with your glasses up on your head. Okay, here we go. So we're going to do the thing. Get the camera going. I'm going to look directly down the barrel of my camera. Hello, it is time for your question and stitchable moment for the day, OGL edition. Be honest. Did you know what the OGL was before all of this started? Hello, it is time. So there we go. Before any of this started, who assumed it was a Spy Kids reference. I mean, fair. I also watched Spy Kids. Granted, I was fully an adult and in college, but we used to get wasted and go to kids' movies. It's a thing. Anyway, so we're gonna hashtag this sumbitch up. Stitchable moment. We're gonna go RPG, hashtag RPG. We're gonna go hashtag OGL, as that currently has 6.9 million views. We're gonna go hashtag DND, which has 10.4 billion views with a B. So yeah, and we're gonna name this accountability because it amuses me. That's not gonna fit on one line though. Accountability. Yep. Nope. Account. I'm gonna throw a dash in there. Boop. There we go. It did it. Add it to my Stitchable Moment playlist. And we're going to post it. We're going to post it right there. Okay, cool. I'm not sleeping on lair actions. It's funny. I actually, for a D&D creator, for somebody who's often considered a big D&D TikTok creator, I'm actually not that big. I've only got 10K followers, but I'm mutuals with so many of like the really big creators. It's a little, the imposter syndrome is real, friends. It is real. So I'm gonna hop into my group chat with my goofy friends. Okay. I'm gonna hop into my group chat real quick. Talking OGL on my stream if anyone is interested or just bored. Because let's face it, half of my friends don't pay attention; they just lurk in the background. But I'll take the numbers. I'm not gonna be mad about that. I appreciate their support. All right, so everything that we're going to be covering today is in a PDF document that you can get access to on my link tree. I will post that in the chat here. Yep, there it is. Oh, what's happening here? I have to join my own. Interesting. Interesting. Fuck you. See if that goes through. Okay, I guess I can't do it from there. We'll do it from where? From here. We'll pop into here. We'll do one of these. Boop. This is what I get for not streaming for so fucking long. Boop. All right, there we go. Boom. All right, so there's my link tree. The very top link on my link tree is going to be what we're covering today and talking about in general. I do not know why that happened, but we will figure that out another time. So let's boop into our next thing. So yeah, this is the document that has all of the resources on it. There is one thing that I wanted to drop in first. For those of you who are not in the know, bearing in mind that I am recording this for future use as well. I may pare it down. So I'm going to do a little bit of an intro here, and then we'll go from there. So, hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about everything that I know about the OGL. I need it to be very, very clear that I do not represent Wizards of the Coast in any way, shape, or form. This is all just research that myself and others have done. Specifically, I want to credit Dinner and a Game for the interview they did with Owen Casey Stevens, who was at the time at the time that the original OGL was published, was an employee of Wizards of the Coast, was present for its creation, and like many creators from that time, his whole livelihood is kind of based around the freedom to publish under the open gaming license, as it was originally designed to last in perpetuity. Um, for those of you who don't know, the Open Gaming License was a licensure that was created by Wizards of the Coast and released in 2000. It was created in the late 90s and released in 2000, that allowed other creators within the gaming space to publish things under their licensure without having to kick back to Wizards of the Coast and subsequently Hasbro. The reason why this is relevant right now is because there was a leak in either late December 2022 or early January 2023, depending on who you ask, that stated that they were revising the open gaming license, which was supposed to come out on January 4th. They've since delayed things, but the new open gaming license would have been significantly more restrictive and really, 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 really nerfed what people would be allowed to publish under that licensure. It was also written in such a way that it would have made it such that people who published under the original open gaming license would not have been able to continue to profit off of that without kicking some money over to Wizards of the Coast and subsequently their lords and masters Hasbro. Um, so and that therein lies the problem. This does not greatly affect very large streamers, as it is rumored that not streamers, creators such as Paizo, such as like Critical Role, Dimension 20, Kickstarter, interestingly enough, as they are offering specialized light gaming licenses to these individuals such that the dent in their profit sharing is significantly less. Not profit sharing, that's not the correct term. I should also point out, I am not a lawyer. I am just a major geek that has been in the industry for a long time. So this is all just stuff that I have dredged up, and it's the stuff that in my opinion, is probably the most reasonable things to kind of base opinions off of until we have something more official from Wizards of the Coast. To that end, the Wizards of the Coast did post, and this is actually not in my document. I should probably update the document. But Wizards of the Coast did come out with a statement. Our own videos using this. Yeah, absolutely. Make your own videos using this information. Um, you don't have to credit me. I'd appreciate it if you did, but I'm not going to be butthurt about it if you're not. Bearing in mind that most of what you're getting here is like I've checked my sources and everything like that, but everything at this point is speculation and hearsay. Um, the only information I have is the same information that everybody else has, and that is the actual document that has been released, leaked by Wizards of the Coast, to which a number of times they've claimed was not an official documentation for Wizards of the Coast. During their long silence between when the leak happened and when they issued their statement on D&D Beyond, not on like official social posts, but on D&D Beyond, which we'll get to that in a second, they were removing any discussion of it on their forum boards, citing that it violated their forum guidelines, which was, and one of the things that they were citing is misinformation. And the reason behind that being is that this is not an official document released by Wizards of the Coast. It was a leak. Some people speculated that that meant they were denying that it was even a thing from Wizards of the Coast. There's just so much to parse through, you guys. It is a lot. It is genuinely a lot. So we've covered what the OGL to some degree. Now I have on my list of resources here. I do have the Gizmodo article at the very top here that talks about the OGL leak initially. And we can real quick just look at that as it stands. And it kind of goes into a little bit about what's changing, what is the new OGL. It does talk about what will happen to the original OGL, all of this stuff, but we've kind of briefly talked about what that would look like. So we're going to drop back over to my document here. What we are going to cover real quick is their official release. I have not read this. I am legit just going to be, like, I'm going to pop it up on my screen here, but I'm just going to read it to you as it is. Hey, Epic, thanks for the work. Appreciate it. Hello, Lady of the Fae. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you. I hope you're feeling better. Lady of the Fae is a friend of mine, IRL. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of go over this real quick. I'm blind, so you're gonna see the top of my forehead in my little corner over here, but I'm just gonna read through this real quick. Um, so OGL's SRDs and 1D&D by the D&D Beyond staff. This is dated December 21st, 2022. I do not think this was made public until this week. That is hearsay. Do not quote me on that. It may very well have come out on December 21st, 2022. But everything that I've seen and read has stated that this was not available to the general public until sometime this past week. So, especially after the outrage of what they're trying to do really kind of hit its fevered pitch, seems to be when they released this statement. We love the interest and passion of the community has for D&D. We love D&D too. So when we see the D&D community concerned and misunderstandings, that we want to clear the air and share the facts with you, even if it's a bit earlier than our original plan. You all matter to us, blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. Anyway, will 1D&D include an SRD / be covered by an OGL? Yes. First, we're designing 1D&D with the addition with an addition backwards compatibility. So all existing creator content that is compatible with the edition will also be compatible with 1D&D. Second, we will update the SRD for 1D&D as we complete its development that is informed by the results of playtests that we are conducting with hundreds of thousands of D&D players now. For those of you who are not aware, SRD stands for System Resource Document. It is literally a huge documentation that updates all of the rules and tries to keep them as current as possible, adds new rules as they go through. Oh. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I was checking the chat real quick. What will the OGL terms change? Yes. We will release version 1.1 of the OGL in early 2023. The OGL needs an update to ensure that it keeps doing what it was intended to do, allow D&D communities to build and play and grow the game that we all love, without allowing things like third partiers to mint D&D NFTs and large businesses to exploit our intellectual property. So what's changing? I don't like the phrasing here. That already raises a red flag for me. WotC is talking like they are not already a big business. They are. WotC itself is of itself a multi-million-dollar corporation, and they are owned by Hasbro, which is a much larger multi-million-dollar corporation. So the fact that they're sitting here trying to equate themselves with small businesses and small companies being exploited by large companies is kind of a red flag for me, but that might just be my elder millennial paranoia. Probably not. So what's changing? First, we are making sure that the OGL 1.1 is clear about what it covers and what it doesn't. The OGL 1.1 makes clear that it covers material created for use in or as TTRPGs, and those materials are only ever permitted as printed media or static electronic files such as EPUBs or PDFs. Other types of content, like videos, video games, are only possible through the Wizards of the Coast fan content policy or custom agreement with us. To clarify, outside of printed media and static electronic files, the OGL doesn't cover it. So they're talking about streamers, they're talking about people like Critical Role, they're talking about people like Dimension 20, they're talking about people like me, they're talking about people like my friend Epic Realms, who does a lot of content with regard to role-playing games, specifically Pathfinder, which the original Pathfinder was published under the OGL, I think it was either 1.0 or 1.0A. I don't remember which. There are two different OGLs from that time period. I do not know the difference, so please don't ask. Will this affect the D&D content and services players use today? It shouldn't. The top VT virtual tabletop platforms already have a custom agreement with Wizards to do what they do. D&D merchandise like minis and novels, etc., were never intended to be part of the OGL. Won't change all that, which we knew that the written content for novels and everything like that was never covered part of the OGLs. All of that was already Wizards of the Coast's intellectual property. I know this because I once tried to write a novel that took place in Candlekeep and got a stern talking to. That's neither here nor there. Creators wishing to leverage D&D for those forms of expression will need, as they always have needed, a custom agreement between us. Um, that makes it sound like it's super easy to do. It's not. Again, speaking from personal experience, that is not an easy thing to do. Second, we are updating the OGL to offer different terms to creators who choose to make free share-alike content and creators who want to sell their products. What does that mean for you as a creator? If you're making share-like content, very little is going to change from what you already do. If you're making commercial content, relatively little is going to change for most creators. For most of you who are selling custom content, here are the new things that you need to do. Accept the license terms and let us know what you're offering for sale. Report OGL-related revenue annually if you make more than 50 grand a year, which already is less than what they had originally stated in the leak. Because I believe originally they stated that it was 750,000 a year, and they're already dropping it to 50K. Interesting. Include a creator product badge for your work. Meaning you have to get a permission to put like a watermark on your shit from WotC. When we roll out 1.1, we will also provide explanatory videos, FAQs, and a web portal for registration to make navigating these requirements as easy and as intuitive as possible. Bullshit. There's no such thing as intuitive when it comes to business law. We also have help available to creators to investigate these new processes. For the fewer than 20 creators worldwide that make more than $750,000 in income a year, we would add royalty starting in 2024. So even the creators making significant money selling D&D supplements and games, no royalties will be due in 2023. So they're giving them a year at least, which yay, I guess. And everyone below 750K in future years will be royalty free. Bottom line, the OGL is not going away. You will still be able to create D&D content, publish it anywhere, and game with your friends and followers in the ways that make the game and community so great. The thousands of creators publishing across Kickstarter, DMs Guild are a critical part of the D&D experience, and we will continue to support and encourage them to do that through 1D&D and beyond. Yeah, hey Monkey Swag. Zine, that is a good point. I'm curious how it will affect streamers who aren't doing 1D&D. Legitimately, I had no plans to switch to 1D&D. What before all of this debacle came out, I had zero interest in switching over to 1D&D. Like what I've seen of it, it's okay, I guess. I mean, and granted, everything that I've seen has just all been play tests, but I'm not wowed. I'm not flabbergasted and floored by whatnot. My mic drops when I'm not looking at my camera. Okay, good to know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that's going to look like for streamers who aren't streaming 1D&D. It sounds like it shouldn't matter, but like I'm very curious to see what the legalese is when it drops. So I guess that is a wait and see situation. That is a really good question, Monkey Swag. The question being, for those of you watching the stream and not watching the chat, what are my long-term plans with regard to the future? Do I plan to stay with if with 5e if one D&D doesn't strike my fancy, or if I'm going to move on? Um, the reality of the situation is, I don't actually have a lot in the way of brand loyalty to Dungeons and Dragons. Like, don't get me wrong, I love D&D. It's where I got my start. I started with 3.5. I refused to transition to 4th ed. I did transition to Pathfinder 1e, but when first edition Pathfinder decided they were transitioning to second edition, I very much viewed it, like a lot of people did, as a money grab. And here's the thing: I say it's a money grab, but we live in a capitalist society. These people need to make their money somehow. And when they've already saturated the market in one particular area, it makes logical sense that they would then try to redo things in a way that they can continue to make money and then resaturate the market with something else. I understand how capitalism works in broad strokes. I understand how capitalism works. I'm not necessarily upset with that, but it goes back to the idea of the sunken cost fallacy, which at the end of the day comes down to, how much money have I spent on this thing? I don't want to move away from this thing, even though it may be beneficial for me to do so in the first place. Now, of our friend group, I've typically been the one kind of championing moving ahead and moving on, but again, I don't really have any brand specific brand loyalty. To be honest, I'm eventually hoping to find a system that works with my DM style, GM style, that makes sense, that is has the level of complexity that I'll catch up with the chat in a second, has the level of complexity that my players want, but also allows for a lot more freeform storytelling than has editions have in the past. Jumping back, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Yes, I agree. The OGL 1.1 does kind of sweeten the pot for Pathfinder just in general for me. Reading the chat, yeah. Minute and then oops. Too bad you don't have to. Uh, Responding to Epic Realms' comment about it affecting streaming. That sound. I feel like I read something somewhere about that. That sounds about right. Here, I'm gonna jump back to. I'm gonna quick jump back to my resource page here. Um, oh, it's there. There we go. Oh, hey, Critical Stitch, how's it going? So the yes, so the thought of and here's the thing, like this was a conspiracy theory that I floated in one of my TikToks, but I'll float it here too. The idea being that they released the most draconian series of options such that there would be a public outcry against that, so that when they released what they actually intend to release, which is more draconian than the original but is less draconian than what they leaked, that it would seem significantly less onerous, and people like me who are frustrated and upset by this will be like, okay, well, it's not as bad as it could be. I can accept that. That is an acceptable limitation. um, it's a business tactic. I was reading, and again, hearsay here. I read an article that basically said if this is the case, I mean, this is literally discussed in Donald Trump's The Art of the Deal. Like this is like a classic business move. Not that it's necessarily worked out for Donald Trump, but I digress. Um, so the idea that that may be a thing, that may be, very well be a thing. I saw another again conspiracy theory. Again, I cannot stress this enough. This is speculation. I have no grounding or proof or any of this whatsoever. So it's very important that you remember that. But the idea is Wizards of the Coast themselves as a separate entity from Hasbro, because they're owned by Hasbro, but they are still their own company. Um, Basically saw what Hasbro was intending to do, and oops, it's out there now. Let's see what happens. So, like, Wizards of the Coast leaked the information so there would be a public outcry, and now forcing Hasbro to kind of rethink their tactics. Um, I don't know. Again, like, Wizards of the Coast themselves have not made some of the best, uh, most community driven decisions in the last couple of years. So, I don't know. Yeah, and that Monkey Swag, the comment was with what they've done to try to monetize Magic the Gathering over the past couple of years, this OGL bait and switch thing is not terribly surprising to him. You are not the only person that has made I've heard that comment from. I don't play Magic the Gathering. I don't know all of the details and ins and outs of it, but it sounds like Hasbro has really made it onerous to play, which is really unfortunate because I know a lot of people for a lot of years derived a lot of enjoyment out of it, and now it's not fun. It's just not fun. Um, Real quick, going back over this reference sheet, if there's more there's just a lot of resources here for everybody to kind of take a look at. There's the original interview with Owen Casey Stevens. It is on the Dinner and a Game YouTube channel. It is still on their VOD on their Twitch for free, but that goes away after a week. It will stay on their YouTube. There's also Owen Casey Stevens' Twitch account, which or Twitter account, which is where he talks most about it, and his blog where he talks about this too. Again, Owen Casey Stevens is one of the original, one of the guys that was working on uh, for D&D or for Wizards of the Coast at the time that the OGO was written. Um, Also, further down on the sheet here, you'll note that where there is a list of publishers that published under the OGL, so that you can see which of your games, and you'd be surprised how many games are published under the OGL, even though they don't look a thing like Dungeons and Dragons. So, like, take a look at the list and see if any of your favorite more indie games are on there, because if they are potentially at risk from the more draconian 1.1 measures that would be listed there. There is added a couple of resources. There's a YouTube podcast about the OGL from a lawyer's perspective. There's also an interview with former vice president of role playing games at WotC at the time of the original OGL when it was written, Ryan Dancy. He is considered one of the co-authors of the original uh, OGL, and is, other than the lawyer that literally authored the thing, is probably the most versed in the ins and outs of the OGL and the spirit behind it. Yes, I have confirmed this. Powered by the Apocalypse, it seems was not published under the original Open Gaming license, therefore, or maybe the original was, but subsequent ones are not. So I don't know how that affects it, but it seems like the further away you get from your original publication, um, the kind of safer you are. So real quick, a couple of discussions that I wanted to bring up is the language in the original OGL states specifically that the uh, the OGL is meant to be forever. It's meant to be in perpetuity. Yes, technically speaking, the stat blocks like that are OGL. So like mutants and masterminds would be OGL. A lot of like the stuff that Green Ronin puts out. Anyway, so the language in the original OGL was that this would be an open gaming license and it would exist in perpetuity. But apparently there is a precedent in business law, and again, I am paraphrasing what I heard a lawyer quote, and I am not a lawyer. So keep that in mind. But apparently, there's a precedent in business law that states that perpetuity doesn't necessarily mean forever. If there's a significant change in the market, excuse me, if there's a significant change in the market, if there's a significant change in the space that it exists in, for whatever reason, it can be argued that perpetuity was only as long as things kind of remained the same. Now, one can argue that, and easily argue that the gaming space has drastically changed over the last 20 years. And it's simply fact. It's simply true. Like in the last 10 years, um, D&D has gone from being a very niche, very mocked area of the nerd space to being part of sort of the public zeitgeist. Everybody knows what D&D is at this point. Everybody knows, at least somebody that plays. It's very mainstream. And so one could argue that from 23 years ago when the OGL was originally published to 2024 when they're talking about or 2023 when they're talking about rolling this out, that things have drastically changed. And from a legal standpoint, they may be able to argue that. Now, it is possible that larger companies who published under the OGL can argue that this was certainly something that was put out there and they published under the OGL with the good faith understanding that it was never going to change. And that, again, from a legal standpoint, probably won't hold up in court, but if enough people get together and lay out this argument and they have decent enough lawyers, they might be able to win that argument. And here's the thing. Paizo can't stand against Hasbro. Kobold Press can't stand against Hasbro. Green Ronin can't stand against Hasbro. But Paizo, Green Ronin, and Kobold Press all together can stand against Hasbro. Here's where the trick comes. And they even said it specifically in their What's Changing document that I just read. You can come to a custom agreement. You can make a deal with them to be like, okay, this sucks if we do it, if this is the way we're going to do it, so we can make a deal with Hasbro. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to take the people that would be their main competition and they're trying to yank out the rug from under them in terms of allowing the smaller guys, like they're trying to yank out the rug onto from the smaller guys in terms of allowing them to continue publishing, because then the bigger people have the capability of working with Hasbro specifically because it's big companies helping out big companies. Yes, I am aware that Coldwood Press is coming out with its own thing. I was using them more as an example than like a specific thing. I know that there has been some talk about organizing smaller creators, like independent creators, like Owen Casey Stevens, Ryan Dancy to some degree, although he does work for a game company, but like he still puts out his own stuff. I know there's been some talk about organizing to fight this if it indeed becomes a thing. If you are interested in learning more about that, Owen Casey Stevens is your guy. So you want to go to his Twitter, you want to find out his blog, and you want to reach out to him to figure out how to get involved if that is something you are interested in doing.
It is arguable since multiple other systems used these terms before OGL outside of D&D, therefore could be.
Agreed. And this is again, what we're working off of here is the very limited information that we have, and the information that I was able to cobble together based on a number of different conversations that I've had with creators, with lawyers, with people who came out with the original D&D, with interviews that I've seen with these individuals. Like this has been my life for this last week. This is the reason why I'm having this discussion right now. There is another thing that I wanted to hit upon real quick. I've seen a lot of individuals criticizing people like Critical Role and Dimension 20 for continuing forward, particularly Brennan Lee Mulligan from Dimension 20, for continuing forward using D&D despite all of this. Brennan Lee Mulligan, Abriya Iyengar, Erika Ishii, Lou Wilson, and there may be another one that I'm not remembering, have come out with their own podcast called Worlds Without Number, and their first campaign is going to be in D&D. And I've seen a lot of people coming out and criticizing them for continuing to utilize D&D, and I just want to, like, they don't need my defense, okay? I'm just a fucking dude. But I think the world of Brennan Lee Mulligan is both a GM and as a person. So I am compelled to say this. These people pre-record all this shit. Okay? Like, all of this stuff was pre-recorded. So if they drop it at this point, it represents a significant loss, financial loss to these individuals if they don't continue pushing forward with this. World Without Number in particular has specifically said, I read their little blurb on their webpage. They've specifically said they are planning on branching out to other systems and other games. But they pre-recorded everything. So I swear to God, the next person that criticizes Brennan for not putting his money where his mouth is for his anti-capitalist rhetoric, like, I'm sorry, he may be a socialist. I am a fucking socialist. But we still have to live in a capitalist world. We're still bound by the law of the land. So I can live as socialist as I possibly can. But if I already sunk $100,000 into a thing that I've pre-recorded, I'm still going to put that son of a bitch out, particularly if I think people are going to watch it. So I just, for the record, want to say right now that let's give these people a chance. Like, this is all just come out in the last month. Let's give these people a chance to see what is actually going to happen with the OGL and then react to what is going on. Now, some of these people, like Critical Role, may have had some foreknowledge. I've heard some rumors that they may have had some foreknowledge that this is going to be happening. There's stuff going on there that would get into Critical Role spoilers that I'm not going to get into today because I know some people watching our critters haven't been caught up. I'm not going to get into it. But the point is that let's give these folk a chance to actually react with the knowledge that everything they have done in the last, whatever they're putting out now was probably recorded around the time that this leak would have happened in the first place. And let's remember that I didn't hear about this OGL leak until last week. So I'm sure it was circulating, but it didn't get big until the last couple of weeks. And for a fact, I can say that people on social media weren't talking about it until the last week or so. So let's cut them just a little bit of slack because they may have a socialist message, but they still live within a capitalist society. So give them a break. Yeah, Epic Realms. You got something to say about Kobold Press. Say it in the chat. I will say it back out loud, and we'll do the thing. While he writes that out, and we have to account for the delay, I am actually very excited to see what Kobold Press comes out with. They have been a consistent third-party publisher of Pathfinder and 5e for a very long time. So I am quite excited to see what they do come out with. I will take a look at it. Oh, awesome. Yes, Matt, Zine, the Gizmodo article was what lit the fire under everybody's asses. But yes, Epic Realms is going to have Wolfgang Bauer, words are hard, is going to be on the podcast, on his podcast on Epic Realms, twitch.tv/Epic Realms, Epic_Realms, on February 20th. And the name is just familiar enough to me. Thank you for putting that as a shout out. But Wolfgang Bauer is, if I recall, one of the main dudes at Kobold Press. Yeah, he's the big. That's what I thought. I'm like, I know the name. I think I've actually met him at some point at one Gen Con or another, because that's apparently what I do. He would not remember me at all because he meets tons of people at Gen Con. But yeah, so February 20th, if you're inclined to see what he has to say about what they're coming out with, go follow Epic Realms on Twitch and watch the interview on the 20th, because that will be very, very enlightening. Very, very enlightening. To see what Wolfgang Mr. Bauer has to say. Um, that is the information that I have as of this moment with regard to the OGL. I heard a rumor. Um, Cobalt. I love that. Um, apparently, Wolfgang Bauer is the kobold in chief at Kobold Press. Um, I wonder if they eat babies. Um, for those who don't know, Kobolds Ate My Baby is a beer and pretzels game from like the late '90s, early 2000s. I'm not just being fucking weird like normal. Um, if anybody has anything else to say that they want to add, that they want to say about um, about the OGL, speak now. I've said what I needed to say and get it out there. Just I'm torn. Here's the thing. Like I want to boycott D&D. I want to boycott Wizard of the Coast, but here's the thing. Um, I have a massive catalog of pre-recorded games that we've done over the course of the last year that I want to put out there. And D&D Beyond, as a visually impaired person, is possibly the best interface for a character generator that I've run across. So even if I want to play privately, I can't really go back to paper pencil because I can't see it. And I still, in order to get it, this is how they get you. This is the sunken cost fallacy. But at the same time, as a visually impaired human being, it's really frustrating. Um, yes, thank you, Lady of the Fae. It has accessibility by the fucking balls. Like, and as a handicapped, as a legally blind person, I'm handicapped. I'm handicapped. And as a legally blind human being, uh, I can't not use D&D Beyond for a character generator, and I can't use D&D Beyond for a character generator unless I pay for the subscription, which is fucked up. And I didn't realize how fucked up it was until all of this came out, and I feel a little dumb for not having realized it sooner. Um, you can't log books. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, you're not wrong. Like I know a lot of the like here's the thing. Paizo Paizo has done a pretty good job. Not perfect, but a pretty good job with when they were doing Hero Lab on as an app. Now it's Hero Lab Online is a little less accessible and useful, but it is still doable. Um, exactly. Time to go back to Hero Lab. I genuinely do like Hero Lab. There are things that I can't do with it that I wish you could. Um, but yeah, like Paizo has done a pretty good job with Hero Lab in terms of from a purely accessible standpoint. But again, that is the trick across the board. Accessibility costs money. Uh, whereas for me, I have to buy both the book and the program in order to do it. Now I can just buy the PDFs and that's fine, but I still also have to pay the outlay for the program. So accessibility in any of these circumstances costs money. Now, that's a commentary on a whole other side of this argument that I do not want to get into today. And maybe that is a discussion for another episode, another time. But yeah, accessibility is not free, and I wished to all of the gods that it was. Um, and maybe going forward, maybe having conversations like this, and talking about how like Kobold Press and some of the other smaller indie companies Some of the smaller indie companies are coming out with their own systems and everything to that. Maybe this is a discussion that we should start having now, such that when they are coming out with these new games, we can have these conversations about accessibility for the visually impaired, the hearing impaired, the physically impaired. Like, there's so many different things that need to be addressed, uh, as access is so limited by how much money you can throw at it. So, okay, so I'm not going to make you feel bad for continuing to play D&D. Um, it's not, the issue is not that the homebrew community, the issue is not whether or not you've paid for homebrew stuff and the like. The issue is that potentially, and again, there is no guarantees at this point, but the issue is that potentially Wizard of the Coast could put people who have dedicated their entire lives and livelihood on the perpetuity of the open gaming license. And what they're doing is taking that away, potentially, again, from people who have made their entire life's work about creating content through the OGL. Now, again, I've already stated I will continue to play 5e. I'm not going to buy any more of their content if I can at all avoid it. Um, but the issue here isn't whether or not it affects you directly. What the issue is that this is going to affect hundreds, possibly thousands of people who have made a life and a career out of creating content for D&D. And it's really just an example of the big companies hosing over the independents. Um, and it's not cool. It's not cool in a country whose capitalist philosophy is that you can always pull you up by your bootstraps, which do not get me started because that is 100% bullshit. But in a country whose capitalist philosophy has always been the little guy can always make it big, um, this is a classic example of why that doesn't work and why that's not a thing. Um, and really, I think that is the message that I am taking away from this. And like, don't get me wrong, I knew that I knew that this was Wizards of the Coast from the like. This is what their philosophy was from the very beginning. Like, I started on 3.5. I did not transition to 4.0 because one, it was a shitty system, and two, um, it was a money grab. Period. Fifth Ed 2. It's just it's very disheartening. It's very disheartening for a company who fostered a community, who originally fostered this community of collaboration, of growth, of having a sense of community, grown out of, particularly during the Satanic Panic in the 80s, where the people who would play Dungeons and Dragons were singled out and picked on and vilified and literally demonized for having an interest that wasn't mainstream, for them to create this community and then try to yank it away is it's hurtful. Like, I am personally offended, even though I know this is the kind of thing that companies do, even though I know that, but this is bigger than just me. This is bigger than just what I do. This is bigger than just what I play. This is just indicative of the thing. And if we want a community, if we want an industry that doesn't pull shit like this, we need to speak up about it. And I'm not saying don't play the game. I'm not going to make you feel shitty for playing the game. I'm going to continue playing the game. I just, my heart goes out to these people in a big bad way. So yes, Epic Realms. That is a valid point, as well. Um, I I've had so many people point out to me that that is referred to as the sunken cost fallacy. which I don't necessarily, here's the thing, I don't necessarily agree that that is necessarily the case in our specific case. But the reality of the situation is that we have sunk so much money into XYZ over the course of the years, and we're not wealthy by any stretch. Like we all do okay. We're all comfortable. Like, you know, I'm talking specifically of our specific friend group here, but we're all fairly comfortable in what we do, but we're not a wealthy people. And like the amount of money that we've sunk into it is not insignificant. So, it's steel. Uh, as a as somebody that recently tested on an alignment scale as lawful good, I I cannot endorse or condone that. But you know, do you? Anyway, um, anyway, I want to say thank you all for joining me for my little bully pulpit podcast here. Um, it was cathartic for me. I needed to do this, and I appreciate you guys being in the chat and chatting about this with me. And uh, if you want the resource document, it's out there. If you want the resource document that I came up with, it is out there. It's yours. It's yours to take a look at. I've got all the resources there. If you want to organize against Big Hasbro, um, go forth, do the thing. Reach out to Owen Casey Stevens. He's the guy. Go watch the interview that Dinner and a Game did do with Owen Casey Stevens because it is very interesting. If you want to see a bunch of grown humans weep, uh, um, that is also a way to go about things as well. Uh, there's a hash brown alive that the lemons don't release it. Yes, I'm aware of that, Epic. I just think it's funny. Um, I'm going to end this with saying there are good things that are coming out of this. I think regardless of what happens with the OGL, we're going to see a lot of really interesting content coming out of the independent publishers, Cold Press, etc., um, that are going to be out there in the world that are going to be interesting. So if we want to hear what Wolfgang Bauer, the Kobold in Chief himself, has to say, uh, go go check it out. Go check out Epic Realms podcast that'll happen on February 20th. The way he does things is he interviews them on Twitch, and then after the official interview, there is a live sort of AMA. I mean, you can ask questions all through the interview, and then he goes back and he reads the questions to the individual. So you can ask questions sort of in real time and get answers right the fuck away. Also, Epic Realms also put the Hasbro customer service line in the chat. That is 1-800 255 So that is on the internet for everybody to give them a call and tell them exactly how you feel about them. So I want to say thank you all very much for joining me today. It has been an interesting and enlightening conversation. I love you all. We will be back streaming more D&D 5e content in a week and a couple of days. Thank you all so very much, and have a good one.
solitude.